Hey, it's done. We're gonna play some more Dark Souls Remastered. Pretty sure I'm recording. Yeah, nice. Alright, where we left off was the top of Undead Burg. We got a couple of options from here. First though, we're gonna go down into the lower Undead Burg. We're gonna wash out for these dogs. There's a fairly large fire that will burn us to a crisp if we're not careful. Here's that dog. Oh, nice and clean. There's at least two, possibly three of these. There he is. Alright, so searching on Undead Burg, the bottom of. Looks pretty rough. Boarded up. Big corpse bonfire. Can't be that undead if they're on fire. And then round here.
Somebody, please let me out of here. Somebody, anybody, help me. Unlock the door. Damn, I'm finished. How did this ever happen?
We bought the residence key, which lets us into houses. The implication being that either these are owned by the same people that owned the restaurant upstairs, or there's more than one key for the houses in here.
Brilliant.
Anyway, let's meet him.
You opened the door for me. Thank you. I'm saved. I thought I might never escape. I am Griggs of Vinheim, a sorcerer of the school. I am much obliged for your assistance. Thanks to you, I may now resume my travels.
Alright, what are you talking about?
Oh, hello. I'm fine. I will rest a while, then return to Firelink Shrine. I have my sorcery, and I will be more cautious next time. Besides, I have an important task at hand.
Alright. I think he tells us we're going back
hello.
to...
I have my sorcery.
Go back
Besides,
to Firelight Shrine. That's cool. We can rescue this dude from the barrel. But why is in a closed barrel, let's be honest. And he has some gear on him. Sorcerer gear. Friend of yours. Okay. So, let's carry on down the street. Apparently blocked up. Oh, there's bare hollows down the end. They've got torches. We haven't seen any torch hollows yet. Oops. Let's just be careful. Pull them through here. Using the long reach to stay well out of trouble. We've got a metal shield which has resistance to fire and 100% damage reduction. These items aren't going to cause us any trouble unless they hit us enough time to overpower our stamina bar, at which point we'll stagger. Whoops. Shield only works if you're actually using it. Stab you in the back. There we go. Twin humanities on the corpse, very nice. Blackness and some kind of gutter or something down here. Nothing down there, so we can't go down there. And now this way. So this part of the level is really teaching us to deal with fast enemies. The dogs are fast, those flaming hollows are fast. When we come down here, these doors are going to burst open and some thieves are going to come out. I'm trying to take what's on us. There's one behind the door. There we go. These guys are a little stronger than That makes, and we also see they've got throwing knives, and they're a lot quicker. But we can still stab him in the back. And if we're lucky, they might have left us something behind in one of these little houses. Here we go, look at this. A mail breaker. So have a quick look at that, so we can see what we're doing with it. So the mail breaker is a dex weapon. See down here the required parameters. 5 strength, 12 dexterity, so we could use it. It doesn't do an awful lot of damage. And other than that, it's very useful for critical attacks. The game itself is a little unbalanced towards critical attacks because critical attacks always get bonus damage. Weapons with high dex scaling usually get even more critical damage boost, but they don't get a lot of damage in the first place. So the game is actually kind of skewed towards heavier weapons that can then be used for critical attacks. Because these guys are fast, we're going to learn some timing. Blood loss. That's a little bit shit. See what the aggro range for these guys is. I don't think it's that far, but it might extend further than we want it to. See these guys backing off now. We're outside of their aggro range, so they're still kind of focused on us, but they're probably not going to chase us that far, especially once we get down here. See, he's backing off. So all of the enemies have an aggro range, a range in which they'll chase us and attack us, and then when we're outside of that range they might be aware of us, but they won't necessarily pursue us. And we can use that to our advantage with a lot of enemies, especially ones that are either difficult to hit or difficult to avoid, or ones that do a lot of damage, which we'll probably see a lot of. If we can move outside of their aggro range, we can stop them being a problem and not quite cheese, but use the mechanics of the game to suit us. We get that sick looking thief gear. Oh. Forget about the dogs down the way. Another one down here. I can't hear it. Okay. So we've got a couple of options. We've got the fog wall, which in this case is a boss. It isn't always, but this one definitely is. And down here we've got some thieves. We're going to go down here. And once we've got the thieves, we're going to experience something pretty cool. So, bit of a bait and switch. Obviously this guy is the guy that we could see. He's the one that's that the game is kind of geared for us to get. But this guy is the one that's going to get us in the back if we're not careful. Knife slipping through the shoulder, that's a good look. Alright, so around here we've got a few things. We're in the walls, we can see the sky. We're in one of these concentric rings that we could see from up in Firelink Shrine. We've got some loot, which is nice. Presumably this goes to another section of the Undead Burg. This is a locked door. Doesn't tell us what key we need, but it'd be pretty obvious. And then we've got our watchtower. this is the same shape as the other watchtower. It may even be the bottom of the other watchtower. I don't think it is, but we've got some useful stuff. Got a lady in here.
You still have your senses about you. Then why won't you buy some of my moss? I need your souls.
So she's a merchant. We can buy stuff from her. Which is handy. Blood red moss to prevent bleed. Purple moss to prevent poison. Blooming purple moss to prevent poison and toxic. Restore status, whatever that means. Throwing knife covered in poison, and a dung pie, which turns you and your enemy toxic. Then she also sells some charcoal pine resin, which is like the gold pine resin we had, except this one sets our weapon on fire, and we can also buy transient curses from her, which will help us fight ghosts, and we can also buy some rotten pine resin to add poison to our weapon, and some more things as well. Homeward bones lets us teleport to the last bonfire we used. Prism stones lets us check the height of drops that we've used, and we can also use them as a breadcrumb. Humanity, which is handy. And she also sells arrows and bolts for the crossbow and normal bow.
What a humdrum.
We're not buying anything from her today. What we do know is we're going to go and follow this path under what appears to be some kind of sewer. And then we look where we are. We're back where we started, which is handy. Our list lets us do two things. One is it lets us use Firelink Shrine as our base of operations, which means we don't have to go through that Gauntlet of Thieves again if we don't want to, if we struggle with the boss, which I tend to. Behind that fog wall there's a boss that I and everybody else tends to struggle pretty bad on. But again, just like all of the other bosses, the tools are available to us if we want to use them. And there's Griggs. Fun fact, at the moment he's here, but if we run back to Undead Burg, he's also still in the he's still in that house that we rescued him from, until we sit at the bonfire. We're going to sit at the bonfire. Should we level? One of the things we're going to be looking at is how much poise we've got. At the moment we've got none, which is pretty rough. That means that we can't, when we take a hit, we'll start to stagger. So, picked up some armour. Let's have a look at that armour and see if there's anything that we could do to boost our poise. Let's take off the legs. Let's see if any of these offer any poise for us. The Hollow Soldier set offers us poise. Let's see it here. It looks like possibly just the heavy armour sets offer us poise, yeah. That's not a big problem because the other thing that we might want to do is just be light. Not that any of this is particularly light, because we still need to keep our equipment load down to less than what is it? Less than a quarter. And if we've got 53, and we divide that by 4, 13.25 is our maximum that we can weigh before we start to slow down. So we had been wearing the heavy boots that come with the set that we wear. It gets some good defences, but these black leather boots give us similar kind of defences and weigh a little less. We might even be able to get some. Can't afford to add any of that. A couple of things we can do. We can add some endurance, increase our vitality. Not just vitality, but also our equip load. Or we can just get good at rolling, which is probably what we're going to do. A couple of things first though, before we hit the boss, we've actually got another direction that we could go in, and I think we'll explore that first. If not for shits and giggles, then at least for the blacksmith. So we're going to go to the blacksmith, we're going to upgrade this weapon if we can. It's going to require a little bit more titanite. We've got some titanite chunks, and twinkling titanite, we shouldn't need that yet, but we might need to buy a couple of shards. We've got plenty of souls, 6,158. Gives us plenty of options as far as upgrading is concerned. We will kill these guys because I always do. Oops. First time. Solid parry, that's what we'd like to see. Down through the cloisters, if that's what this actually is, into this little chapel. Careful not to hit Andre the blacksmith.
Well, you need
He doesn't forge, yeah. We're not reinforcing armour. We're thinking of the weapon. The halberd +2. Need some titanite shards. I think we'll probably need 4 if we want to bump it up another couple. One of the kind of important things in the game is not necessarily pumping souls into levels, but pumping souls into our equipment. And we might want to unequip the axe. We might be able to equip some armor. Sorcerer cloak. Anything's going to be better than nothing. So let's have a quick look. Twelves, 13s. We'll need some physical defense to go up against the Capra Demon. Maybe we can. I think we can get away with it. We're still fat rolling. We're rolling nicely. I think we can get away with wearing the hat if we wanted to. It should give us a little bit more defense. And let's go back to Fireleague Shrine. Pop the souls, and we'll have a crack at the Capra Demon because fuck it, why not? Don't run very quickly. That's fine. So the other option is we can go down through where Andre was. He's got forest behind him. Dark root garden, and in there is a bunch of things, including some fun loot. If we struggle with the Capra Demon, we might want the loot from there. It also comes with the benefit of having plenty of souls that we could probably level up a couple of times from if we struggle with the Capra Demon, which is behind the fog gate in the lower Undead Burg. So let's have a quick look and see how many souls we need to upgrade. We'll probably pop 1 or 2 into vitality. We need 3,396 to upgrade. Okay, let's have a quick look at our inventory, see if we've got any usable souls. We've got quite a few actually. Get the little ones out of the way. We'll not pop the other one because we're going to need about 6, and well, we're going to need another 4,000 to level up after this one. So let's have a quick look. Strength, what's that going to take us up? 186 to 188. What we're looking at is our right hand weapon damage, which scales not necessarily equally, but equally at this point with that. So question is, do we go for that or that? We could bump up our equipment load a little bit. Not necessary. Vitality could pump up quite a little bit. 30 extra health points could be useful. I think we're going to go for that. Okay, now let's go and try that Capra Demon. This is the one that all of the first time blind runners struggle with. I've almost always struggled with it. So what we'll have with the Capra Demon is a very small room, not much bigger than the hole is in the bottom of the Undead Burg that we were in fighting the thieves. But what we'll have is a large angry demon with 2 machetes, and we'll also have 2 dogs, which will be very fast and cause us to panic a little bit and stop thinking briefly. Which is the plan for the Capra Demon. It's as much a skill test check as a DPS check. And it's really there to kind of temper your mettle and make sure that you're not panicking over everything. But we'll use the tools that have been provided. The halberd is going to be doing some wonderful damage because we upgraded it a couple of times. We've also got pine resin if we need it, and we've got some black fire bombs if we need it. We've got 10 Estus flasks from where we are. We are human, so we could summon a friend if there was one. There isn't because I'm offline, and there's no summons for this boss because he's kind of just a normal enemy further on in the game, which is daunting to say the least. But part of the biggest problem with him is the lack of space that you've got. More than anything else, it's the tight quarters that you're in. So we've got to think about how we're going to defend ourselves. Some of that is going to be rolling. Some of it is going to be blocking. And some of it is just being pretty careful. So what we can do is go up here. Kill the ducks. Okay, now the dogs are dead. All we've got to worry about is him. So let's chuck some pine resin on. Let's remember to use the tools provided. So we've got a drop. We can use, he will chase us up here. Don't get greedy. He can't hit us when we're on the stairs. There we go, first time. Nice. because we used the tools provided. What a buzz. So for this one, what were the tools provided? First off, we used the gold pine resin that we had left over from the other two bosses. We had 3 bosses, 3 gold pine resins. We used them all effectively. What else? We did the dropping attack that we'd learned from the first 2 bosses, because we had the room in there. And the other thing we did was we learned not to panic. We didn't overdo it, we didn't overroll, and therefore we didn't fuck it up. We got a handful of souls. More importantly, we got the key to the depths. So let's get into the depths. So these hollows, whilst they look the same, are actually a little tougher than the ones that we fought previously. They are ever so slightly buffed. Their swords are slightly improved weapons, so whilst they look the same, and whilst we appear to do the same damage, if we let them, they will tear us apart pretty quickly. However, let's call it there for the day, and we'll pick up immediately where we left off in this episode, in the next episode. Thanks for watching.